Hello, Tim Frady here, codename TV Crazy Man, superhero, writer, artist, all-around good guy, and creator of the novel series of the self-published Time Cruisers and funny graphic novel series Caveman Comics on sale at Amazon.com. Boy, is that a mouthful. Today we talk about the creator of Tarzan and John Carter of Mars and what made him a success. If you aspire to greatness in the field of writing books, comics, etc., then you'll probably find the story of how Edgar Rice Burroughs got into writing both interesting and motivational. Burroughs created Tarzan and John Carter of Mars, of course, if you're not familiar with him, and the King of the Jungle he created has been made into a multitude of movies and TV series over the years, and John Carter of Mars has been said to have been the precursor to modern sci-fi entertainment, without which we may not have had such things as Star Wars today. I actually came across this story a few years ago in DC Comics Tarzan number 230, published in 1975. Within was a reprinted article from the Washington Post from 1929. It was an interview with Edgar Rice Burroughs where he describes his journey into writing. His motivation for writing was not really for a love of creating grand adventure stories and science fiction, but for a more down-to-earth reason. He simply needed the money to support his family. Like a lot of great men who found success throughout the ages, he didn't start out greatly successful. In fact, he said in the interview, he wasn't really successful at anything until he began writing. In his own words, I was 35 and had failed in every enterprise I had ever attempted. He said he had been dropped from Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, flunked examinations for West Point, and was discharged from the regular army due to a weak heart. He started a stationery store that didn't last long. When he got married in 1900, he was making $15 a week, working for his father in a storage battery business. In the interview, he listed a long list of jobs and business failures. He went on to say, he lucked into one accountant job only because the boss knew less about accounting than he did. Living in what he described as poverty, he decided to write his first story. He thought to himself that he could write science fiction just as good as what he'd read in the science fiction magazines of the day. He had never even written a story before, but he just knew he could write better stories than what were being published in magazines at that time. In the article, he goes on to say that he knew nothing of the technique of story writing. He also went on to say that even after 18 years of writing at that time and 31 books, he still hadn't figured out that technique. When he first started his writing career, he submitted half a novel to a Thomas Newell Metcalf, who was editor of the All Story magazine. The editor wrote him back and said he liked the first half of the story, and if the last half was just as good, he'd use it. Now, what I find interesting is how Burroughs describes his situation at the time. He said if the editor had not given him that little bit of encouragement, he would have never become a writer. Because he wasn't writing because of any urge to write, nor any particular love of writing. After finishing the novel, he was given $400, which included all serial rights. His first story was titled Deja Taurus, I think I'm saying that right, Princess of Mars. Next came The Gods of Mars, which he sold for $1,000 in 1913 to the same magazine. At that point, he decided to devote himself entirely to writing, but it would be a few years before his stories would go from magazines to books. It wasn't until the editor of the New York Evening World decided to run Tarzan stories as a newspaper serial that Burroughs got his first book. The newspaper serial caused other newspapers to run with the Tarzan serials, which led to readers demanding it be printed in book form. Think about it. Thanks to economic pressures on one guy and a multitude of failed jobs and businesses, we now have not only Tarzan, but most likely every great sci-fi adventure we now take for granted may not have existed or might have looked completely different, thanks to Burroughs' John Carter of Mars. Take one example. John Carter had increased strength and was able to leap great distances on Mars thanks to the lesser gravity. Well, that's exactly what they said of Superman and his relation to Earth. John Carter paved the way for Flash Gordon, and Flash Gordon paved the way for George Lucas's Star Wars. Think about that for a second. Hope you found that interesting. I really love stories of underdogs who would go on to achieve great success in life. It's encouraging. Whenever you find yourself feeling like a failure, Think about Edgar Rice Burroughs, a man who failed at everything until he was 35 years old and started writing. If he can do it, you can do it. I can do it. We all can do it. Just want to give you a quick reminder. My name is Tim Frady. I've got books on Amazon. Just look under Tim Frady. I've got Caveman Comics, which is a funny graphic novel series. I got the Time Cruiser series and some other books and stuff. I'm currently working on a comic book superhero called Liberty Ace, and as I go along and get more done, I'll be posting something about that on here on this channel. So please subscribe, hit that bell for future notifications, because you never know what's going to come along on the TV Crazy Man channel. Thanks. Have a great day.